Welcome to the Rise Up podcast, where we explore the stories of business leaders rising above challenges and driving innovation. Okay, I've been waiting a long time to have this guest. I'm so excited. This conversation can go lots of directions. But would you all please welcome with me to the Rise Up studio here, Mark Murray, the, we'll call him title of none, but does lots of things.
Title of none. I like that.
That's right.
I'll steal that.
Yeah, because, you and I both live in the world of titles really don't drive you a lot, does it? Why is that? I'll start asking that question. Yeah. What is it about a title? It's like, I don't care.
I don't know. One of my favorite quotes is, you don't want to be rich and famous. You want to be wealthy and anonymous. And so I really kind of live by that. Yeah. I mean, I think there's, I think the titles are fine, but I think people take too much ownership of them sometimes, and their identity's found in. Donald Miller does that too.
Yeah.
He goes to conferences and he's like, you have to tell people who you are without telling them what you do.
Yeah.
People don't know who they are. And so anyways, I think, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, business owner. But
so if someone asks you this question, because I've thought a lot about this and I try to be a little bit intentional, so I'm curious for you. If someone asks you, hey, what do? Do you almost intentionally go away from the doing? Or how do you answer that?
Yeah, that's a good
Does
question.
it depend on the person maybe?
Yeah, I don't like small talk, so I just say real estate, so they don't ask any further questions.
So they'll stop asking.
Yeah, real estate. Oh, okay. They usually don't keep asking.
Yeah.
Even though we do very little real estate nowadays. Yeah, because I think the word entrepreneur is also like, it's kind of a gross term.
It's a new term.
Well, yeah, it's all over Instagram and TikTok of you should be an entrepreneur. It's like, that's technically what we are. Capitalist is really at the heart of what we do is we look at the world through numbers are the game of it, right? So we look through the world through money.
And what are the missing solutions or the adjustments, pivots that no one's really paying attention to?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
so I always like to start with kind of how our worlds collided, and I'll put this in your court. I normally kind of start talking about it. When did our lives collide in your memory?
Yeah, it's good. The year was probably 2007, so we're going on 20 years, maybe 2008. 2000, maybe 2006 even. Anyways, but college ministry.
Yep.
You and your wife were running that, and a friend of ours went to church with Church on the Rock. So, anyways, he's like, you should go try it out. So,
did you wander in knowing anybody, or were you total stranger?
Yeah, I didn't know anybody. I think I went with my roommate, and he went with me the first time, and then they never showed back up. So,
so I'm gonna point. I like pointing little small things, and that is, it's uncomfortable often going into strange rooms.
Sure. Yeah.
For a lot of people. For me, not as much. For a lot of other people.
Yeah.
But isn't it interesting? Worlds that open up sometimes when you step into a little bit of that uncomfortable space.
Yep.
And, maybe it goes nowhere. Sometimes it's like, wow. Mm-hmm. And I could say, getting to know you, spending time with you has opened up enormous worlds I never fathomed. Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful and could go on and on about that. But, all being in the same room of college and young adult ministry, and then you graduated. And when did... I think I know this, but I don't recall this. When did real estate really kind of go, I think I'm going to go that direction, and then maybe why didn't you go corporate? Why didn't you go get a job out of college?
Yeah, well, I tried, and no one wanted me. So
that's a good answer.
Yeah.
So if you'd gotten a job, would that have possibly just,
it would have changed everything, sure, yeah.
Because you'd have gotten some handcuffs.
Yeah.
Maybe good ones.
Probably, joyfully handcuffed to a salary. And so, I think that's a good question. I think a lot of our journeys and paths are through some resistance of not what we were wanting and just kind of what ended up happening. And that was one of them. So real estate was just one of those things. I don't know if it was inspired by you or heard by you, but while I was in college, I got my license and just decided that was kind of the backup plan. And it really was the backup plan for the first 4 or 5 years. And then whenever no other plan came to fruition, it kind of became a career at some point.
I'm gonna reiterate the backup plan. I've not told a lot of people this, but I really thought I was going to go work out of college for one of the big 4, 5, 6 accounting firms,
right?
Which is a whole career track, partnership track, et cetera, et cetera. And there was this backup plan, a software company who was hiring lots of my graduates, and I was just a little too prideful to be like, I don't want to be one of them. I'm one of the top people, and I didn't get the offer I was expecting.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so I almost forced myself to take the backup plan, which ended up being so much better.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah.
the lack of knowledge we have or perspective we have forces
Yeah.
us into a backup plan that may actually end up being.
Yeah. That preacher, you could probably write the book called The Backup Plan, because I think that's how most people's lives end up.
Yep.
Plan A doesn't usually work out, and so you have to be okay with and really thrive in Plan B.
So I'm curious, rewinding the clock of when you jumped into real estate, which is a 100% commission.
Mm-hmm.
You don't make no money if you don't get stuff. Did you think, all right, income's going to be low here? What were your expectations, if you remember, when you were starting?
Well, good question.
Expectations and then reality, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think I had any expectations. At that point, you're just trying to make it in the world to see if you can. But yeah, I remember my first year, I think I only made $8,000.
Okay, stop right there.
Commission person.
We had a grand income out of college of less than 10,000.
Wow.
It's hard to fathom, right?
That is crazy. Yeah, people think, I mean, that was 17 years ago now.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, you got to eat some beans.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I had a couple of roommates and didn't need much money.
Do you think that was a big reason? Like you may not have wanted to, but you put yourself in a lifestyle that allowed you to just kind of financially just barely survive.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's one of those things you look back on and it sounds like, oh, that's miserable. You only make not much money, but what do you learn in those seasons? It's like, well, you learn that you don't need anything to be happy, right?
Boy,
it's
that's
like,
good.
I know, it really is. And so, going forward, it's like it was a foundation of how we live our lives now. It's like, yeah, more things aren't going to help with the happiness. It just adds on the stress.
It just burdens you.
Yeah, it really does.
More stuff on top of you. And then you think, I got to be enjoying this. It's like the Disney World experience. I got to enjoy this experience that cost me an arm and a leg.
Right. Well, yeah, that's true. Well, and wealth is, I mean, I've told you this before, but I've talked to other people. Wealth is the gap between what you earn and what you spend. So at $10,000 a year, I think I probably saved $2,000 or $3,000 that year.
Yep.
So I was wealthy in my
You were
mind.
way ahead of that doctor who made $250,000 but spent $400,000.
Or went negative, yeah.
Yes.
Lots of companies, you look at their financials now, you're like, you lost $50,000 last year. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Anyways, so capital is to the core. As long as you're making more than you're spending, you're winning.
Yeah, and I've been saying this phrase to myself a little bit. You were paying some tuition in the knowledge base of how to run your own business, how to cultivate sales. I mean, we could just go on and on. Right. I'm curious, in those early years where income was not much, what are some of those core lessons? You mentioned one, learning to just be content. Right. What are some other maybe even business lessons, sales lessons that are, so valuable? You're so glad you learned them.
Well, yeah, fear of rejection is the biggest one, right? I mean, you eat what you kill commissions. It's like, well, I mean, you literally are cold calling as a 21-year-old kid trying to convince some, adult to say, hey, I should sell your house. I really shouldn't. But that was, So, yeah, if you can overcome rejection at a young age, I think everyone should. I think everyone should either be a server or should be a server. I think that's the hardest job I've ever had in college. And then you should always be in cold sales at some point, where you're commission-based only, knocking on doors, cold calling people you don't know. I mean, of course, people say work on your database. At that point, your database is 21-year-old kids. They can't buy a house. So anyways, I think if you can survive those two things, you just learn a lot about who you are and identity of just rejection and man and all that. So anyways, it was an incredible foundation to get started and wouldn't trade it for anything. It's funny, looking back, all the hardships in life, I don't know if there's a documentary or something I was listening to the other day, but they're talking about that. You always look back on the hard things in life and appreciate them and are grateful for them and won't change them for anything. So.
Well, and I think the other thing too, and you didn't use this language, but you've basically said it, is you've kind of learned the thing that I supposedly fear, rejection, not enough income, all of these things that are legit fears in our world, they drive a massive part of people's psychology and what keeps them from doing things. Those fears didn't fully realize the worst case scenario that those fears often tell you. Right. Rejection. All right, I'm still okay. Right. Yeah, I had 85 people say no, but I'm...
Right. Yeah, that's true.
It didn't actually... The worst thing didn't happen that I thought was.
Worst case scenarios never happen in anyone's life. There's some bad things, but usually the anxieties and the fears that rile up in you, you think worst case scenario, I go broke or bankrupt or whatever, it usually doesn't come to fruition. So
where did, and this question's kind of leading to some of the zany, crazy creative ideas of like,
Yep.
how do you kind of grow this real estate business? How do you try this? I mean, ideas galore have come and gone over 15, 20 years of being next to each other. Looking back, do you remember any of those that are like, man, that was a pretty good one, or that was a dumb one,
Yeah.
but that was an interesting idea?
Oh gosh, we've had lots of dumb ones.
Very
Yeah.
far more dumb than actually good ones.
Well, that's true. And you're such an optimist. I had to learn to be a little filter of a realist in the ideas, because I don't think I've ever told you
No
one
idea is a bad idea to me.
Right. No.
They're all good.
That's right. Yeah. So me and your wife have had to filter some of those down over the years.
Thank God for that.
Well, and I didn't at first. And so we had some dumb ones, not just you and I, but just in general. But I think that's what an entrepreneur is. I mean, I don't know. If we could have a list of ideas and even LLCs, the things we've launched, it's in hundreds, you know.
Yeah.
Started with a light Lubbock whenever our buddy
Yeah.
started the Christmas lighting magnetic thing.
Yep.
Like, oh, yeah, me and the Archer, we'll install them. That'll be great. It's not great. Installing Christmas lights is not great.
Yeah.
But as a broke realtor, we made a little bit of money that off season, and just willing to do whatever it takes in a capitalist environment, I think is, you know, what's led us to True Title and led you to Energy and led us to things that are working
Yes.
now, right?
Yeah.
And so just not scared to start things, and it doesn't even matter if they work. Like the economy and the environment gives you the feedback.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like if you start something and it gives you feedback that the environment doesn't want that's an
Like,
okay thing. It doesn't mean you're a failure.
I think there's been a shift, and probably just the maturing of just trying failure, lots of things.
Right.
Whereas like there's actually a hunger and a joy in going, all right, we're going to try this.
Right.
And how quickly can we get feedback from the marketplace,
Right.
from potential consumers, customers, whoever, to tell us this is dumb,
Right.
and we'll get off it real quick.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. And that's going back to we're capitalists to the core. I don't really care about the idea. I think that's where people get confused often, is they think that you should pursue your passions.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hate that word. You should pursue your passions. What does that even mean? So you can, but you're going to be an artist, right?
Yep.
And so we talk about that. There's capitalists and there's artists. And
Yeah,
then
talk
there's-
about that. That's a great description for a lot of people listening who've not fully wrapped their brain around two different paths, both of them viable, but just have expectations that if you choose one over the other,
Right.
what that looks like. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we have the family farm also we could talk about, but I think there's three paths to business. One is a true capitalist, which is dollars and cents, profit and loss. The goal is net profit at the end of it. And then the other is an artist, and an artist is usually like a coffee shop owner. I came up with this actually because I talked to a couple coffee shop owners, and I said, hey, why don't you have a drive-through? And they're like, oh yeah, we don't want one because it kills the experience. And it just dawned on me, that's great. You're not actually a business owner. I mean, you are, but you're an artist.
Yes.
You care more about the experience than you do dollars and cents, which is not a bad thing. It's not how I'm wired. I could care less about the environment of coffee shop. I want money, I want it to make sense. But if you're turning down a drive-through for the experience, you're saying, I'm an artist. You're saying, I care more about the craft and the idea of a better experience and the better coffee than I do about making money.
Yep.
Totally fine. And there's artists in every industry. I mean, you can go down not just coffee shops, but in a lot of industries, they say, oh yeah, I don't scale, or I don't hire, or I don't leverage because I'm scared somebody else won't do it as good as me. That's great. You're an artist. You're not really worried about the bottom line growing. And so anyways, I think you have artists, you have capitalists, which are worried about increasing that, which isn't always right either, honestly. And then you have family farms, which I learned about, which you've probably seen the businesses where the family owns it. It's a legacy business, and they're not really worried about the dollar and cents anyway. They're worried about feeding their family and then hiring the cousin and making sure the mom kind of gets the money. And that's not bad. I mean, it really isn't. But it
provides
just
for
not
several households.
That's exactly right. And so some granddad or dad built the company, and now they want to bring everyone into it, but you're not a capitalist anymore. You're really worried about taking care of your family. So anyways, I think those are kind of three interesting circles of businesses, and kind of knowing which one you are, I think is important, because a lot of artists follow their passion and then wonder why their cookie company doesn't take off. It's like, well, Lubbock doesn't need another cookie company, is what the capitalist would say. But the artist says, but I love making cookies. It's my passion. That's great. However, you're going to struggle because the economy in the market is saying it doesn't want your product. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't follow your passions, but you also shouldn't feel rejection whenever the economy says you're not making money from it. So.
Yeah, I think if if there was an ability to help every startup, food truck, food idea, and we're picking on food because that's kind of an easy thing to try to step into.
Sure.
And just kind of set out expectations of like, are you okay if this comes back? And if it is, go try it out.
Sure.
And maybe you get 1,000 people a day showing up. But if that doesn't happen,
Right.
do you have a backup?
Yep.
Can you take care of your family?
Right.
And then are you okay pivoting if it ultimately?
And that goes back to the identity thing we talked about. Just so sad when people then, let's say they fail at venture, which we failed at many. But their identity was wrapped up in it because it was their passion and it was what they were into. And it's all they know, themselves to be is everyone thinks I'm a good baker. Or everyone thinks I'm good at coffee, whatever. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of sad because when it does fail, you then feel as a failure versus as a capitalist now, I'm like, oh, no, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
The market doesn't want that. We'll pivot to the next idea. So anyways.
I've said this a lot in our energy business. I'm really agnostic as to the type of energy technology that we'll use. Solar was a great tool for a period of time, but I mean, I'm so agnostic. I just want to figure out what is the market interested in? What are they incentivizing?
Right.
What economic fundamentals are viable, and then we'll go all in, but no, it's probably going to change.
Right.
And then you pivot. So I'm going to go back to this because I think this was somewhat significant. I know for my life and maybe for you too, made a change in your real estate brokerage side to joining the Keller Williams, Gary Keller world. What was deposited into you in that season that you feel like was, maybe significant or marked for your own journey?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, Gary is a true capitalist and entrepreneur at heart too. And so, I think he would say over and over again, fail and fail faster, right?
Yep.
You're going to fail, so you might as well fail faster. So I think it's a good question. I mean, they were the number one training company in the world at that point, whatever that means, I'm not really sure. But we went to tons of trainings in leadership and on business coaching and counseling and financials. And so, it was an MBA, probably a doctorate in business, which
great description.
Was incredible. And it was paid for by my job. So for 2 years running at Keller Williams, you learn, number one, how to deal with 150, 200 agents, which they all have egos and problems.
Yep.
And then you learn from a corporate structure, they teach you really how to do systems and models well and what's worked and not worked.
Yep.
And so that's what's interesting in the capitalist world is, there are models that work. And so you can follow them or not. It's up to you, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. And so that's probably the biggest thing deposited is leaving those environments of what made Keller Williams so successful, and you can steal a lot of those models and copy them for the next business.
Yep. And I think being in the room of watching some other people, how they operated, and you kind of go, all right, that was working, that's not working. So you kind of get the peer advantage of observations,
right.
And you get to, I think we've said this a lot, you can often accelerate your knowledge when you're in the same room of some other people. I think we've always tried to say, let us help you accelerate your knowledge. Come hang out with us. Not that we know everything, but you'll certainly learn what we failed at.
Yeah.
But rubbing your shoulders in those rooms can really help move those things.
Yeah. Well, and they did a great job fostering environments of what they would call masterminds.
Yes.
Right? And so we've kind of created an annual mastermind, but there's too many business owners that do it in isolation.
Yeah.
And so they just don't have anyone to bounce ideas off of or whatever. And so, creating, just an open environment of being, it's vulnerable, but it's not vulnerable at all. I mean,
everyone's in the same boat.
Yeah.
Once you get past the do and it's like,
no one knows what we're doing. I mean, to be honest, even 17 years in, I have no idea what I'm doing. However, it's one of my favorite quotes too, is there are no adults. We're all just kind of making it up as we go, which is so true. I mean, you're getting up in age. I'm getting older in age. I still feel like a kid.
I do too.
And so every time I look at it, I'm like, I'll give you my perspective and my ideas or whatever, but I always want to give people that caveat. I also don't really know what I'm doing. So you need to make up your own mind.
Donald Miller, I just saw a little post, and I don't know if he made it in the last couple of days because I don't hop in all the time, but he said when he turned 40, he kind of got depressed because he said, I thought I was supposed to know everything. And here I was at 40 and I'm floundering in stuff and so on and so forth. He goes, I turned 53 today or whatever the day post was very, very recently. Yeah. And he said, I can tell you today, I feel younger. I feel sharper. I feel healthier. And I feel like I've got more in front of me. Yeah. He said, I didn't have the right perspective. There's a lot I learned in my 40s. And I still have a lot to go. I still feel young at 53.
Wow.
So I thought that was just kind of, again, I think you go through these things. You're like, all right, you're constantly learning.
Yeah.
And you're a kid at everything.
Yeah. It's hilarious. We went to dinner last night and we were going in and Bill Eggert was leaving. And so I talked to him for a while. He comes up to me and so.
Bill's not a young man. He's up in age.
He's been developing real estate here in Lubbock for decades. And he tells me, I was like, "You're not retired yet, Bill?" He said, "Why the heck would I do that?" He didn't say heck.
Yeah.
I'm only 85.
That's so good.
Oh, I know. And I said, "Man, you got at least 20 years left in the tank knowing you." He said, "At least."
I know.
And so, yeah, I totally agree. I think it's really age is a
and he's
number,
being sincere when he talks about that.
Oh.
And you look at the fruit, right? Look at the fruit of his life.
Oh, man.
He's probably littered with some mistakes, but he's also littered with some just not afraid to fail.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we don't get into this, but yeah, I think retirement is a lie. It's a lie fed to people, and it's not biblical, number one. And two, it's not healthy to retire. So find something that you love, keep building it. It doesn't mean it won't ebb and flow and change, but to think that you just quit everything, quit contributing to society, is crazy.
Quit creating, quit giving
It's bad
your
for
time, your energy, your resources, your talents.
That's right.
I like to ask about leadership. This is kind of generic, but you can kind of, is there a style of leadership or characteristic of leadership that you feel like over the years appeals to you, or you kind of hope that you model a little bit in your own life?
Yeah, good question. I don't know. I think you could answer that for me better. I think mine has changed. I think I used to be kinder, and now I'm more direct and kind of mean. Sometimes in my leadership, just don't have time for the niceties, and that's not always true. I try to be sometimes nice, but I feel like what the leadership I appreciate is direct and just honest and vulnerable without any, beating around the bush. Because I think too often, and I've gotten good feedback from that. I think I've also offended people probably, but just whenever people ask me for advice, I'll tell them unfiltered kind of what I think is the case. And so oftentimes people will leave that and say, actually, we did a mastermind the other day for a company on AI, and at the end of it, they just opened up about their business, and I gave them advice on their business, and their feedback was, no one's ever been that honest with us.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That's so interesting, right?
Yeah.
No one has ever been that honest.
Yeah.
And they were probably hungry for that and just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's what they said. It was refreshing. Like, we're totally rethinking everything because you looked at it and said, hey, maybe it's all broken. Maybe we should tear it all down. It's kind of what I told them. And just start over and rethink everything. And they were appreciative of that. I think, too many people are offended just to think, you're going to step on toes or whatever. And so anyways, I would say my leadership style now, to answer your question, is probably direct and to the point. And I hope people appreciate that, and I can do it in a kind way. But at the same time, I think in the West Texas culture, people are too nice, too kind, often they just don't say what they're actually thinking. And I think that holds back from being effective as a leader.
One of the ideas, because literally that's all it was just an idea that kind of, unbeknownst to you, probably me, that has blossomed a lot more than even probably expected, is the title business. What about that business going back, 7, 8, 9 years? Is it just another idea? Do we feel like we kind of, and do we feel like we thought, oh, this is going to be it?
Yeah.
Or do you feel like it was just like, let's just try it?
Yeah, definitely that. I mean, I think that's where we fail fast, and we tried a lot of ideas and a lot of them failed. And then that one came together. And I always think of ingredients. So now it's like, okay, what models or what ingredients have worked?
Yep.
And so when I'm giving advice to other people, I think that ingredients of that is build something with almost like a co-op is what I'm calling it now, but build something where there's a group of people already sending business to something and they don't have ownership, and then be the person that collectively brings it together. So anyways, going back, I think it was that formula of success was actually modeled to us by another venture that had failed doing something similar. And we just kind of stole that model and said, well, we'll try it too, and we'll see. We'll tweak it a little bit.
We did. That's right.
Yeah. So we made some tweaks to it that I think made it successful. And now, 9, I think, different locations across the state. It's worked out well. But I love that ingredient as a model for anyone to say, hey, I'm working with some doctors in that space now, just kind of saying, oh yeah, we are all on the same team. We're at different companies, but how do we all be on the same team and collectively create a new business that we're already sending business to?
Yep.
You can do that in any industry.
You can.
So
Yep.
I love that as an ingredient or a model or a clue for anyone to say, oh, if you want to steal an idea from us, please do.
Yeah, I would give you some really tangible encouragement talking to people listening here, and that is look at what you are writing checks towards. You know, it may be vendors, it may be services, it may be something up the line of your business, and you're going, we're doing this repeatedly, and we may like the service or the product we're getting for it, but who else is also paying for the same thing? Right. And do we have enough knowledge, expertise to just decide, why don't we control that piece?
Yep. Well, and I would argue we had no knowledge or expertise in title and still don't. So go find the people, right? So, I mean, really the money can be found in piecing together that, right? That co-op into finding the expert, finding the operator, and letting, it's funny. I told somebody this the other day. I was like, it's crazy. We started True and it's done well. So if people don't know, it's the title model is other real estate agents are part owners in this title model. So at first, everyone said, you can't do that. It's illegal.
Yeah.
And that's another clue. I love that. And so I've kind of written that down before. Only start businesses that people say you can't do that. That's illegal. Because there's opportunity there. For some reason, right, there's some shade thrown at it. And so anyways, it's like, it's not illegal. I can own a title company.
Yeah.
I can own a title company. And so, yes, there are some legalities you have to jump through to make it legal, but it's totally legal. So
it's also the moat that keeps everyone else from doing it.
That's exactly right. That is a great moat. If people says you can't do that.
Yep.
Yeah, that means there's opportunity there. And I would say most society, though, I think we're more rebellious or mavericks in that sense of people say you can't do that, and they just get in line.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, yeah, I guess you can't do that, or somebody would, versus I'm the total opposite. And nowadays with ChatGPTs, we're going to go to AI and energy at some point. But, yeah, ChatGPT, just ask it, hey, can I own a title company?
Yeah. Yep.
And it would tell you, oh, yeah, there's actually a legal compliant way that you can do that. So we had to jump through all those hoops 10 years ago. But, again, that was another clue in this to do that. So, anyways, I love the co-op idea. I love that people say you can't do it, and you should jump in. Those are some good models.
Absolutely. And if you're a little fearful for it, go find someone who's a little bold and brash and not afraid to it and bring them into the mix. I think that's always, if you feel like you're missing something, go find someone who's maybe got those missing ingredients, characteristics, drive, energy, and go do it together. I think we've said this a lot. It's a lot of this stuff you could have done on your own. Maybe I could have done my own, but man, it is so much more rewarding, joyful.
Yep.
To do that with someone else.
Yep.
So I want to kind of shift the last part of this conversation into what's gotten your curiosities here a little bit more recently. You and Michael Kuntz have kind of launched another division, another company, and we'll say called The Lab, and you can elaborate on that. What about what you guys are touching now intrigues you, excites you, gives you like, I think there's something here to kind of keep pushing on? How would you describe it to people?
Yeah, so we have two brands going. One is called The Lab, or getthelab.com. If you want to check it out, that's automations for small and medium businesses to kind of help them out. It's not really marketing. I'm anti-marketing. I think too many marketing companies just
so you don't want to go buy bus billboards and throw stuff on radio advertising.
Yeah, they're happy to take your money, but there's no ROI attached to it, and that bothers me. And then we also have gethumanity.ai, which is more on the enterprise level. So we're kind of on the Get the Lab. We help small businesses automate and create campaigns and things like that actually move the needle for them. And then on Get Humanity is more on the enterprise level, where we're helping larger companies like Lubbock Christian and a few other larger local companies on board with us that, they're just interested in what AI can do for them. I mean, everyone sees the opportunities there, but doesn't really know.
What's a question that you ask that can begin getting the conversation started with a business owner, a leader, whether it's, a manager of an organization? What do you like to ask to start kind of picking and prying, and then you start maybe filling in what they don't know?
Right. I think our favorite question is, what's keeping you up at night?
Yep.
And whether that's figuratively or not. I mean, I think in every business, there's some stressor that's bothering the business owner or the president or whoever we're talking to. And so we usually start there, because with AI, you really can build and code anything, which is awesome. So we do a lot of coding and custom coding with AI now. But at the same time, there's all these AI agents you can build for them that can really alleviate a lot of that pain. So yeah, we start with the really generic question and then kind of drill down into it from there.
Give me an example, if you can think of one, maybe of a recent business that you've started kind of brainstorming and cultivating some agent tool solutions where all of a sudden just one little small tweak now all of a sudden creates some efficiency, productivity, some untapped resource that wasn't there. Can you think of like a business where like we turned this on and all of a sudden this starts dripping out?
Yeah, I mean, so we're working with the city of Lubbock on some of their non-emergency police calls, and they said they get 500,000 calls a year.
Non-emergency or just
Yes. Yeah. Well, actually, I think that's all, because it all kind of goes to the same 9 dispatchers. But I think they get 200,000 non-emergency. And so our goal is to cut that in half to 100,000. And so by allowing them to talk to a conversational AI agent, you can always elevate it to a human. And I think that's why we call it humanity. Is I think people are scared of AI, and the first thought, especially in West Texas, is, well, we don't want to lose the human touch.
Yep.
And we totally agree with that. And so, but AI should be a leverage tool, and they can always still get to a human if they need to. And so that's what our goal is there. So to answer your question, our goal is to reduce their call volume by 50% by allowing them to chat with an AI agent. Because a lot of people do call about cats and trees and different things like that, and they don't need to talk to a person. They're just calling in anyway, and they're happy to do that. So I think about it with the City of Lubbock Utilities, which has been awful in the past. There's only one option, and it's basically wait on hold for 45 minutes to talk to a person. I don't want to do that. I just want to leave a message and ask for power to get turned on.
Especially if you have the choice. Some people may be okay waiting for that human, and that option will be there.
That's right. Yeah. So same thing there. So that's where I think the best use of AI right now is there need to still have the current option of whatever it is, whether it's talking to a human or texting with a human or communicating with a human. And you also need to have a phone tree that says, or you can talk to our Ask Buddy or Ask Holly, it's kind of the city names we come up with, and with no wait times. You can talk to a human and wait 45 to 60 minutes, or you can talk with Ask Buddy right now, and he can answer your questions, he can get you in the system, and he can resolve your issues with no wait times.
And I'll kind of pick into this a little bit and maybe put this as a percentage of efficiency that these AI tools can bring. They don't give you 100% of human efficiency, at least not yet. Maybe some categories do, quite frankly.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
But I guess I would say it's probably handling, and you fill in the blank, 70% efficiency, 80%. A high number is what I'm getting to.
Right. Well, and that's what Craig Rochelle says, right? I think anyone can do your job 60% as well, that you leverage it out.
Yep.
So anyone you hire is not going to do it 100% as good as you, but 60%. And to your point, if AI is already at 80% as good as a human, we're close. Yeah. And so that is good enough to try. And if they know, you can always press 2 to get to human or wait on hold, then why not? I mean, I just don't want to wait on hold. And so I would happily
and I think
talk to AI.
This is the full circle that I want people to hear. And that is, I think the fear of there's some people just are ignorant around what AI can do.
Yeah.
And you kind of stick your head in the sand, and it's overwhelming,
right?
Because there's so much, and I'm never going to get caught up. And then I think the fear of, well, it's going to make me look like a fool, or it's going to fail miserably. I think a lot of those false fears, it's like you've always got a fail-safe human option.
Sure, you should.
You've got an exit plan.
Yep.
Give it a shot.
Yeah. And I don't think you will forever. I think that's right now, as people are getting used to AI. At some point, you'll never be able to talk to a human again, because AI will do it better. And then conversationally, you won't even know. Like right now, they kind of still sound robotic, and they're not there yet. But there's a few.
The British accent's pretty good.
There's some incredible ones that are just insane.
Well, I mean, you've been playing around more than I have. If you haven't, ChatGPT just has a conversational. What would you describe it as? Just literally, it's a conversational girl you're talking to, or whatever.
At the bottom of ChatGPT, there's a kind of a voice-looking button. You click that, and you just start talking with it, and it talks right back. So I tell people podcasts are dead, even though this is a podcast, because you'll just host your own. So as I'm driving now on long road trips, I start the conversational, and I just start talking with it. And I say, hey, I have this business idea to do X, Y, and Z. What are your thoughts on it? And it'll say, oh, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Here's some ideas. And then I say, oh, yeah, I like what you just said. Tell me more about that. or how would we do that, or whatever. So now I'm hosting my own podcast as I
Yes.
drive
Yep.
based upon whatever topic I want. Or it doesn't have to be about that. It could be about, hey, I want to learn more about AI, or I want to learn more about history or American history. So instead of listening to a podcast about that, you get to have a conversation
Yep.
like a live person is next to you that knows everything on the internet. So
Well,
it's
and if you really want to get creepy, which can be fascinating, if you have your own account with, if it's a Chat GPT, whatever, it now is creating a library of content that better understands you, your point of reference,
sure,
your voice, your context, your interest,
Yep.
and it can draw upon that library of knowledge to help filter and give you more attuned responses.
That's right.
That's fascinating. It's like, I don't even remember what I said 6 months ago, 6 weeks ago,
Right.
but this does,
It
and it
does.
can pull from it.
Yeah. It picks up on that. Yeah. So the more you use it, the better it gets. And so I would encourage everyone, if you're not using ChatGPT on a daily basis, you're missing out. And it doesn't have to be ChatGPT. I think that's mainstream. You got Grok and Perplexity and, the Google ones. So, but I think it's the best one right now, just from an ease user standpoint. I would use it every single day for everything. So we started tracking our calories in there. I tell exactly what I ate. I tell it, you don't have to have all these apps anymore. For workouts, I say, hey, give me a workout for the day. It gives me, and it adjusts it based upon my previous days. And, so be conversating with it. What I love about AI, and people are like, is it the next social media? And Sam Altman said this on one of his podcasts. He said, the difference between AI and social media is AI is actually helpful.
Yeah.
And everyone says that. AI is my sidekick. It's nice. It gives me confidence and experience. And, it's like, it's my personal assistant sidekick, and it actually improves my life. Social media, I don't think it improved anyone's life, unfortunately. I mean, now we're just stuck scrolling, and it's constantly after your attention, and it's not actually helpful to you as a human being. I think AI is totally opposite. I think it really is enhancing people's lives. And I think even saving people's lives. I mean, it's become people's counselors.
Yep.
You just want to talk to it about your feelings or problems or whatever. I mean, they're using it on some deep levels.
And because our culture has moved so far to the isolationist, to the surface level, to the lack of vulnerability, I think, again, we've gotten comfortable with a device, and that device now is able to, quite frankly, more intuitively really speak and add value to what you've said.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it really can.
So, man, there's so many other things I want to talk about. I'm going to put a pause to this and maybe allow us to come back in a few months and catch up on the latest, because there's always new stuff going. I like to close by always asking the question, if you rewind the clock back to the 24, 25-year-old Mark Murray, what advice, what would you tell him? You're sitting across from coffee and saying, hey, pay attention to this.
Good question. Buy NVIDIA stock right now.
Yep.
And you'll be rich. No. I would say, probably just chill out. If I could tell my old self something, it's all going to work out. It's going to be fine. It doesn't mean you're going to be successful. It's just, there's not anything worth losing sleep over or stressing over, really. It's all going to work out.
Yeah.
Because it goes back to what we talked about earlier. Worst case scenario, go there. I don't even know what that is, So worst case scenario, who cares?
You get a couple roommates.
Yeah.
And you don't eat the finest foods.
Yeah. Back then it was moving with your parents. Now it's like, well, we got downside houses. We got to live in an apartment. We got to go down. I don't care. Right. Worst case scenario, as long as you don't have the fear of man and keeping with Jones's syndrome, worst case scenario is you still have a family and they love you and you still get to go home every day. I mean, so worst case scenario is not that bad. So anyways, I tell my younger self that, don't, be anxious for nothing. Just chill, and it's all going to work out.
Well, good stuff. So much good stuff. I always like to have people point to you if they want to connect to you. What's a couple places they can reach you?
You can text me. Is that weird?
No.
No one's ever given their phone number on here?
It's a first.
You can do LinkedIn. You can do, I don't really check much of that. So 806-831-8436.
You and Bob
You
Goff
can text me.
got it out there.
Well, that is another thing. It's like, I love being hyper available to people. I've also heard too many people do like a calendar thing. They're like, oh yeah, I'll put you in my calendar. And then I saw something the other day. I'm like, no, just call me.
Yeah.
Just text me. And then if I miss you, I'll call you back. And if you miss me, then that's the way life works.
Yeah.
We don't have to live this calendar driven life. So that's another aside. that is just incessant. It really is. It's incessant and it's never enough. And so an open calendar is true wealth.
Yeah.
Anyways, so
it's good stuff.
You can text me. There you go.
806-831-8436. Mark Murray, title of none, run after lots of fun stuff. Thank you for joining us on the Rise Up podcast. And if you want to connect with us, we do a lot of stuff in the energy space. GetRiseEnergy.com. You can connect us on socials, emails, or our phones too. Until the next episode, you all make it a good one.